Good morning, Friday morning, and woke up, checked threads this morning. Woke up, checked threads, and that's where I saw these McCaffrey and Debo Samuel videos. Thankfully, they've been pulled from Instagram, and I want to get into it today. That was just what I woke up and saw this morning, Friday morning. Hope everybody's well. Got a little coffee. More. If you haven't checked one of these out yet, we got a little streak going. Not counting last Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, but hanging out on a Friday morning. Casual summer hours for Ham Pod. Just chilling. The plan was no content, and then I found that it was a really good way to get my day started when maybe I didn't have as much to do, or even if I had stuff to do. Like today, we're keeping them tight, and so the only thing is just hey, send them to somebody, help the channel grow, help the pod grow. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we appreciate it. We appreciate it. Yeah. Played a round of golf yesterday, but that's not what we're here to talk about. That's not what you clicked on the video. We can get to some Q&A stuff later. Always get that in. But I got up this morning, checked threads, and not that. These. Let me make them a little bigger here. I guess that wasn't any bigger. Debo and McCaffrey working out. RSF Niners. A great Instagram account, also now great Threads account. And so it they put together the stuff I need to see when it comes to Niners content. McCaffrey pulling weight, just sprinting wherever he is, and Debo flying on the treadmill, 18.6 miles an hour. That looks honestly dangerous, and I'd prefer they didn't do it. But I'm glad he's doing it. I'm glad he's in shape. And it just to me illustrates, and it never, I think we lose sight of it sometimes because it's become so normal. What a bizarre situation the 49ers have, how they've gone to back-to-back NFC championship games. And they did it last year. Remember this last year? The captains thing? They didn't have a quarterback captain last year. They had 6 captains. It was like 7, 8. Oh, Debo almost made it. Oh, Trey almost made it. And the quarterback captain the year before was last couple of years prior was Jimmy. But the reason this works is because they've got these ridiculous go-to, do everything. I was looking at the list of top fantasy receivers and top fantasy running backs. I'm not a huge fantasy guy, but sometimes the stuff translates. I like being aware of what's going on. And McCaffrey was one. This was the Warren Sharp's list. McCaffrey was one among running backs. Debo, I want to say it was either top 20 or top 25 list. So Debo was like 17 or 22 or something like that. I could probably pull it up. Which, from a fantasy, it felt whatever. I didn't, there are better pure receivers than Debo Samuel. But Kyle Shanahan has managed to go basically one quarterback per season, right? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 6 years. Count Josh Johnson, 7 quarterbacks. The first 4 years were 4 QBs. That was all the same guys: Garoppolo, Mullins, Hoyer, Beathard. Trey in 21 made it 5. Brock made it 6. Josh Johnson made it 7. That played in games. Not to mention, once upon a time, Sudfeld might have played in it. He would have played in the game if not for Brock. But those numbers are interchangeable. But that should not work. It shouldn't work as well as it works. But it works because these two guys, if we had to identify all the reasons it works, what would you say, right? You'd say really good run game. You'd say really good defense. I mean, these have been number 1 level defenses in multiple seasons. They've been number 1 level defenses. We could debate, do the statistics match up with really where they would rank if you were just picking defenses to win one game. But they are inarguably consistently, definitely inarguably top 10s, borderline top 5s, sometimes number 1 or number 2 defenses. So that's another reason it works. But the number 1 reason it works is it worked 1 year because of Debo 2 years ago, And last year it worked because of McCaffrey, if you had to pick one reason. And the beauty is that Debo appears to have taken another step over the last year and a half, maybe. Now, last year, remember the holdout, and that's why you end up not a captain, or not the holdout so much as the trade alleged trade demand. So that's why you end up, without a quarterback or what turned out to be. Kittle's great, Trent's great, Bosa's great, Fred is great, Jimmy Ward and Eric Armstead are really good. You end up without your most important player, Debo, and your quarterbacks. None of them are captains. Not Trey, not Jimmy, it's crazy, right? That should not work multiple years in a row. Definitely shouldn't work like 3 times, 4 times, right? It can work a year or two, Sanchez, Jets, but it can't work consistently. But, what's different about some of those teams, Sanchez, Jets, Dilfer, Ravens, and they're a different NFL. Those years are different NFLs, but they were so defense-based, whereas this is offense. It's defense and offense balanced, right? It's just the offense really works because of Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel carried them. Then they found another guy who could do the same thing and carry them again in a slightly different way, and now they've got both guys healthy. I thought the most eye-opening part of 49ers minicamp, the Darnold trade thing was not eye-opening. It was interesting, very interesting, but not eye-opening. It's hard to get like eye-opening things unless some rookie dominates or something like that out of minicamp. I thought for me, the most eye-opening thing was how hard Christian McCaffrey practiced. Christian McCaffrey looked ready for the regular season. He was running as hard as he runs. I guess it's not as hard as a game, right? You probably have a different level of intensity and that sort of thing, but as close as it could be. As close as it could be to being that hard. That's what Christian McCaffrey did. I didn't love, and I said at the time when John and I were talking about it, I was a little annoyed that you're only going to get like 3-4 practices. And, Debo was there, but wasn't ready to practice the first day he was there like these other guys, or didn't show up the same day. And so it was always like a day behind, working out on the side. But progress and progress. McCaffrey was, and this is his first camp with the team, so maybe that's a factor. McCaffrey was playing so hard that it was borderline, like, let's dial him down a little bit. That's how I felt watching it. Like, let's protect him from practicing too hard. But there you look at him, ready to roll. And I'm happy to see Debo that way. So how does this thing work? And I think it defies the odds. Like, I was on Threads, by the way. Same Twitter handle is the Instagram handle. So come. I don't know. You guys are probably are you on Threads? Come be on Threads. Somebody asked me about it the other day on Threads. I saw this morning Chris Biederman, who's covered the Niners for a long time. He tweeted like, they traded everything for Trey. Trey doesn't play. They made back-to-back NFC Championship games. Shouldn't work. I think this is part of why the Niners are one of there are a lot of reasons why the Niners consistently are one of the biggest stories in the league. One of them just being they're one of the biggest organizations, most famous organizations, most successful organizations, most interesting organizations. There are multiple NFC Championship games the last couple of years, so they're just kind of hot, right? Big fan base, all that stuff. But I think there is this fascination with this is not the plan that anybody would choose. If you heard our conversation, we played a ham classic, like to call it, aka recycle old material last week with Parag Marate from 2017. And one thing he said in that conversation, that was Kyle Shanahan's first year. And one thing he said in that conversation was this year, when we were interviewing candidates, obviously we talked about the quarterback with all of them. We talked about Jimmy Garoppolo with all of them. Jimmy at the time was the Patriots backup, but everybody was trying to figure out back then. One of the big questions was, all right, we've gone as an organization a really long time without a franchise quarterback. How do we get a franchise quarterback? That was the biggest talking point, I'm sure, Parag said it. That was one of the big talking points with every potential coach. And here we are, 3 NFC Championship games, a Super Bowl appearance, the same coach, and 7 quarterbacks later. Well, yeah, 7 quarterbacks later. We'll see. Not later, because the 6th or the 7th. The 5th was Trey. The 6th was Brock. Maybe the 8th, so 8 quarterbacks later, Sam Darnold, if he plays, will be the Niners quarterback. It'll be Brock. But here we are, 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks later, and they still haven't answered that question, yet they're having all of this success. It's just wild. So, bad happy birthday. Yeah. July 7th, good birthday. I saw today a ranking of months. Somebody ranked July the number 1 month, which I'm fine with. October, however, was ranked 5th, much too low. October was behind November. How the hell could October be behind November? What is November? I mean, November's got Thanksgiving, but you can't build a whole month off of Thanksgiving. December? No, sorry. Who gets New Year's? December or January? I give it to January, but I guess December gets New Year's Eve. Great. I mean, solid month. You get your holidays. No. I mean, it's got to be October's got to be number 2, if not number 1. I've always been an October birthday / baseball playoff start / college and NFL in full swing / Halloween / the weather still good. Yeah, there you go. October 3. Oh, 3rd best birthday month. What's 2 then? Summer birthdays, elite, whatever. Shanahan was hesitant on taking the job because he wanted a franchise QB. Yeah, I know. And he had a good situation. And remember, the story was like his dad. Wasn't the story his dad? Or no, he had just decided, like, I'm not taking a job. I'm not taking this job when he came out for the interview. And then they're like, you can do whatever you want. And John Lynch said, let's do it. And that's right. And part of it was, why take a job if you're going to have to look for a quarterback forever? Thank you. Good point. Is it possible the locker room will vote Brock Purdy to be a captain? Yes, it is possible, Robbie. I think it is. We talked about this a while back. We did a video. Go back and find it. You know, we could talk about it again at some point. But yeah, I think it's very possible. Look, the guy played in big games and in the playoffs and played really well. So wouldn't it be kind of surprising if he's not, as long as he's healthy? It is a bizarre dynamic though, Robbie. You're right. It's a very odd thing. Ayuk needs to be a captain. Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I thought that was the thing. You saw it. I saw it this year. Last year, I thought it really stood out. Kind of what I said about McCaffrey earlier. That's what Ayuk felt like last year. Ayuk still feels like that. Ayuk felt like that again. Like Ayuk still practices really hard. You know, Debo got the contract by not kind of being that way. McCaffrey, you know, the contract is what it is. He's already been paid, and he is that way. Ayuk, obviously, Ayuk's coming into a contract situation. I think that's what I think it's just who Ayuk is. You know, maybe you get less appearances 7 years in when you're more of a vet, but I don't think you'll get a lower effort Ayuk when he practices. That's right. Yes, he stood up to Warner last year after a big hit, and he was born. He was born as a captain, although they didn't vote him that. But I mean, at this point, Ayuk would be a captain if Debo leaves. Number 2 receiver can't be the captain. I don't know, man. I think he can. It's just the Niners. This goes back to what a bizarre dynamic this team has. Backup receivers, number 2 receivers can't be captains. I mean, shouldn't quarterbacks be captains? Shouldn't Debo, after what he did in the regular season? I disagree that a number 2 receiver can't be a captain. It sends a message to your number 1 receiver that even though he's your number 1 receiver, there's still something he could do better. Debo is in a great spot for Debo to be around McCaffrey, to be around Ayuk, to be around Kittle, to be around Trent Williams. I mean, yeah, you could argue the combination of those guys and Kyle Shanahan, there is no better place for Debo Samuel than where he is, especially at the early part of his career. What would have happened if Debo Samuel had gone to the Dallas Cowboys or had gone, to other play the Kansas City, like Andy Reid? You'd think that would have worked, right? From a production standpoint, that would have, you know how to use him properly. But I would argue, in fact, that there was no better possible place for Debo Samuel than where he ended up. Mason says, I'm so sick of hearing who our QB is going to, who our QB is going to be. What's it going to take to win it all? If this roster doesn't win it all, it might be one of the best rosters in NFL history to never win a championship. Except it wouldn't be one of those like, Bills Hall of Fame quarterback Jim Kelly rosters. Those were good rosters. It would be, yeah, we know why it didn't. They just could not find the quarterback, and that's why it didn't happen. And that would be the answer there. Yeah, caffeine. I just felt really good about my golf round yesterday, and that gave me some juice. Chrissy says Debo seems immature to me. Yeah, I mean, I think that was part of the holdup with the Niners with a contract. Although they knew all along they were going to pay him. But I would love to have seen him. I know it's a little thing, and I know at the end of the day it doesn't matter for your players who produce, and Debo has produced. You need every type. You can't have 53 just blinders on. You don't want that. You want a little. Sometimes what makes somebody a little loosey-goosey in one category makes them really special in another. And you take the whole package with people. That's just how it is. Now, you try to improve people. You try to mature. You try to get better and improve yourself. But, sometimes if you take away some of the goofiness, I haven't watched yet. I don't know if any of you watched it yet. But I watched the trailer a couple nights ago I think it was on Netflix for this Louis Capaldi documentary that looks like it's a bunch of behind the scenes footage, musician artist. I didn't realize, my wife was telling me, I didn't quite understand that it's a very public mental health battle. But he obviously creates this beautiful music. I haven't watched it yet. And I watched the preview just wondering, like, man, how are those things intertwined? And there are people just if in the art world, right, where you think like, could I be as good at music if it wasn't for the drugs? And I never, I wonder some of that great music that was created in the 60s and 70s and today. I mean, who are we kidding? But anyway, separate topic. That's not the situation with Debo. But you got me thinking about, like, sometimes you just can't separate. Yeah, what makes somebody special? You never know. If you take away one element, did you also hit some other nerve that took away that thing where Debo goes, just give me the ball? And no, I know it's a fair observation. I think it's accurate. It has been to this point. And I guess my point is, you want the maturity. You don't want him to lose the part of him that makes him different. He is, in such an incredible way, has been for them different than anybody else in the league, right? 2 years ago, he was different than him. Then it turned out McCaffrey's can do some of the same stuff, but that's part of the fun of having those two guys together. One is a safety valve for the other, right? If you lose one of them, but also the idea of having both of them. And this is why the more I think about the Niners season and the more I've talked about, you have to be prepared for some level of regression from Brock Purdy, or at least not regression, just the natural evolution of the NFL says that you have to adjust to the league as the league adjusts to you. And the longevity is the hard part. The consistency is the hard part. That's like golf is the great example. You hit 10 bad shots and one great shot, and you walk off the course going, that one great shot, that's who I am. Those other 10 shots, that's not who I am. And the answer is yes, that is who you are, right? So, like, I tend to think that a lot of, if you put together just a highlight package of a great quarterback and an average quarterback and a bad quarterback, if you just took like their 5 best throws from 17 games, you would end up with like 15 throws that all kind of, you'd say, yeah, that guy made 5 great throws, and that guy made 5 great throws, and that guy made 5 great throws. So which ones are the great, which one's great, which one's average, and which one's not an NFL starter? But it's not, the whole thing's not 5 throws. It's the whole thing. And that's what Brock just doesn't have yet. Flat doesn't have it. Impossible to say he has it. Doesn't have it yet. Hasn't done it yet. So I saw a clip on my YouTube feed of my guy Will Blackman talking to Cowherd yesterday, and he was saying the same thing about Brock. He's like, "Hey, you got to see more. It's the bottom line. It's very promising." But anyway, what I was saying is, the more I think about this season, the more you just think, like, even if it's not as efficient as it was for Brock from a touchdowns to interception standpoint, there are just so many things. Kyle's history and the weapons around him that make it very plausible to think that it's just going to be a baseline, a really good quarterback play. That is enough. That is enough. Tourette's, did not know that. Maybe I'll watch that doc. It looked good. I just defined golf mentality in 4 seconds. Look, I'll tell you very quickly before we go. I played for those of you who like golf, I played the Ocean Course at Half Moon Bay yesterday. Loved it. I've been working on my game a lot the last month. I've only broken 90 twice in my life, and neither time was like, kind of like weird, quirky, shorter courses. So I rolled out there feeling really good yesterday. 19 over, par 72, so right in the range. Headed to 17, par 3, ball onto the beach. OB, there goes the break, 90. That was the only ball I lost that was a bad shot. Lost like 4 other balls on weird hops into tall grass. I do not, if you golf with me, I spend no time looking for balls. I'm not out there to hunt for balls. I hate it. I feel bad having other people looking for my ball that like bounced into some high grass. Forget it. I'll give it a curse. I don't care. The ball can be lost. 30 seconds. And it lost 5 balls, shot 93, so I felt pretty good. Anyway, low bar for me, I understand, but lost 5 balls. Felt pretty good. Anyone in here a member at Claremont Country Club? Let me know. Looks like a sweet place. All right, gotta go. Get on with the Friday. If you're watching it live, get on with your Friday. If you're watching this after the fact, great. Hope you're having a quick second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that. And yeah, we'll got more to talk about. Keep those comments coming. Sometimes they spur a good conversation, good topic. And we'll talk soon. Good hang. Threads. Shricks on. Threads. All right, y'all. Later. Have a great weekend.